Did the grand jury recommend an indictment of former President Trump?
I'm not going to speak on exact indictments.
Nothing that would surprise people who have been following this.
Probably not.
I had no idea a 12-year-old Amish girl could even serve on a grand jury, but I guess you did.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
As the forewoman of the Georgia grand jury on election interference goes rogue with a media tour, we'll explain how it may complicate things for the Fulton County DA. What a nightmare.
Come
Literally.
on. Wow.
A nightmare. Plus.
Probably not. Potentially. It might.
Oh, my God. Wow. Joe, just take it away. I don't even know. I'm so confused.
Well, I mean, Willie, if the judge says don't talk.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that's some talking going on right there. I mean, she didn't get specific.
What?
Yeah, you know, didn't get specific.
We have George Conway here.
But, yeah, what did you think, Willie? What did you think?
How dare you punt to me? Just punted on third down, Joe. Quick kicked it.
It's second down, and I'm like, I don't want this. I'm going to shank this one to you, baby.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll say, and we'll get George Conway in for another punt. It wasn't just our interview with Blaine Alexander, who did a great job eliciting some information there. It was also a kind of a media tour for the four-person. Kohrs also interviewed by a number of print outlets, including the hometown Atlanta Journal-Constitution. According to the AJC, Kohrs rolled her eyes and laughed when told former President Trump called the partial release of their report, quote, a total exoneration. The paper writes, did he really say that, she asked. Oh, that's fantastic. That's phenomenal. I love it. That's a quote from Kohrs. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis convened the grand jury in May of last year. It ended last month. The grand jury's full report will be made public when Willis concludes her investigation.
Well, first of all, I kind of wish the reporter would ask, are any of the defendants more orange than a tangerine? It's not helpful. It absolutely isn't helpful. It's going to give the defendants something to shoot at and something to complain about. But at the end of the day, I think this is just comic relief.
Coming up, we're looking at the possible fallout from a bizarre media tour by the forewoman of a Georgia grand jury, including how it could impact indictments from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Those were our questions yesterday about the many interviews given by the foreperson of the Fulton County Special Grand Jury that investigated former President Trump's alleged interference into the state's 2020 election. Emily Kohrs essentially did a media tour since the partial release of the grand jury's report. Seriously. Look at this. And now CBS News reports lawyers close to several witnesses in the Fulton County investigation are looking to use statements by Kohrs to quash any potential indictments by the district attorney. They argue her comments could taint the investigation. To be clear, the special grand jury can only recommend charges. District Attorney Fani Willis would have to bring indictments before a regular grand jury. Her office is refusing to comment on those media interviews by Kohrs.
Keep in mind, it is a feature of our grand jury system, not a bug, for a 30-year-old unemployed individual who does not even vote in elections to decide whether a former president will be indicted for the first time in our country's history. It is not a feature for a grand juror to blab about her excellent adventure during her 8-month experience and how funny Rudy Giuliani was. One thing it does show is that she is not a partisan. I mean, no Democrat I know would ever be laughing with Rudy Giuliani.
There was one detail, I'll get your take on, buried in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution interview with her, where she talked about interviewing the late Georgia House Speaker while holding a Ninja Turtle popsicle that she was given at an ice cream party thrown by the DA. So take the Ninja Turtle popsicle detail out of it. That's amusing. But why was the DA holding an ice cream party for members of the grand jury? Is that a problem?
totally sharp on your part to zero in on that, because that's one thing that shouldn't be happening. Again, it's a separate exercise, but they shouldn't be holding ice cream parties. But I don't think they were. I think it's quite likely that on a given day, the 23 or maybe even, and prosecutor in there brought the equivalent of donuts, and that's the way she put it. But that's something you'll have to look into. On the other hand, by the way, first, I think she plainly crossed the line many times, but it's not only short-sighted because people aren't taking account of the unlikely legal implication. It's short-sighted because it's making us neglect the headline. She as much as told us that they're recommending the first ever indictment of the former president of the United States, plus probably several well-known names. You can guess as well as I can, but Giuliani, Meadows, Eastman, etc. That's the seismic event. And when it occurs, I think this will be a little rumble that will, yes, defense will try to do whatever they can with this and anything that happens, but there's no legal basis to challenge.
So, Harry, this, of course, is just one area of legal peril that the former president is facing right now. We had some news on potentially another in subpoenas for Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump.